Part 4 on the logos in our lives. And who doesn't like that peace sign? Who doesn't like to throw it up? This is a one that I have difficulty with because it's just like a feel good thing. Peace. Peace out. And then you flash it up, right? Oh, well, it's another thing to strive to end the practice of. So breaking down the occult meaning of the V sign or the peace symbol. It says in many cases symbols communicate various meanings depending on the circumstances and how they are presented. In this instance no different. Most of us have no clue where this gesture comes from. We often flash it without being aware of its true origin. The more widespread use of it can be seen when trying to declare peace or wanting to express victory. However, a deeper research into the ancient history greets us with an even more sinister approach. And then we see the two, of course, the hand sign, and then what they have passed off to us as being an innocent symbol of peace. Unfortunately, neither are true. It says, because of our lack of understanding ancient symbolic language, the general public perceives this hand gesture on the left as the peace symbol displayed on the right, which is said to be formed in the early 1960s by a hippie peace movement against Vietnam War. In the 1950s, peace advocate Gerald Holtham was said to be commissioned by communist sympathizer Bertrand Russell to design a symbol to unite leftist peace marchers in 1958. And, well, we know now that communism is demonic from the devil, and leftists and liberalism, Marxism is from the devil, and they made a symbol to unite themselves. So yeah, I guess we can quickly see that this symbol is not good. It is clear that either Holtham or Russell deemed the symbol, also known as the Teutonic rune of death, and the Neuronic cross, as the appropriate symbol for their cause. When you boil it down, communism, that's what it ends up being. Death, mayhem, murder. A representation of so-called peace. It was originally used as a symbol for the campaign for nuclear disarmament. It is composed of the semaphore flag representation of the letters N and D for nuclear disarmament. Supposedly, is what they pass it off as shown in the picture below. That's what they try to pass it off as. It's so innocent. See, nuclear disarmament and then peace. But it is the tectonic rune of death and the neuronic cross. While the reported origin of the logo has been clearly documented in letters, interviews, and original sketches of the sign, the peace symbol has communist and Nazi as well as historically pagan, occult, and anti-Christian meanings and derivations. So you see it's inversion and perversion, where they took the cross, flip it upside down with the arms outstretched, broken cross into that symbol. This is the actual and true representation of the peace symbol, also known as the broken cross, the witch's foot. It's used in witchcraft and rituals. The witch's foot, Nero cross, sign of the broken Jew, and the symbol of the Antichrist. Throughout the last 2,000 years, this symbol has designated hatred of Christians. Nero, who despised the Christians, crucified the Apostle Peter on a cross head downward because he felt he was not worthy to be crucified the same way Christ was. This hideous event even resembled the Teutonic cross and became a popular pagan insignia of the day. Thereafter, this sign became known as the Neronic cross. And we see there, they made it look like they made it a practice to crucify people upside down. The occultist Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Master Mason, also identifies this symbol as mystical in his book on Freemasonry Morals and Dogma. Dr. Kurt Koch, a noted German theologian who pastored, counseled, and delivered more than 20,000 people suffering from occult bondage, wrote that at the time of the first century persecution of Christians, when the peace symbol was called the Neronic cross, it was on such a cross that the Apostle Peter was crucified upside down. Dr. Koch comments, the symbol of peace thus signifies an inverted cross as a symbol of hatred against Christians. Occult ABC, page 242. And in the 8th century, the Saracens fought in Spain against the Catholic Church. Their warriors had the symbol of death, the Neronic cross, painted on their shield. The same symbol of hatred against Christians was used by the Saracens when they fought against the Crusaders in AD 1099. By the Middle Ages, the Neronic cross took on more sinister meaning. The Neronic cross, known in many places as the pentagram, served as a symbol of the Black Mass, satanic cults, and blasphemy, in the book Occult ABC. The Neronic cross, it is a cross with broken arms. It also signifies the gesture of despair and death. During the 20th century, the Neronic cross, or pentagram, became the symbol for peace movement. According to Koch, the infamous peace symbol has been worn by various arch enemies of Christianity, from leaders of the Covenant student movement in the USA to Russian-trained Arab guerrillas and the Black Pope, Anton LaVey, who was the founder of the Church of Satan. Sorcerer and high priest of the First Church of Satan, Anton LaVey performs the first satanic baptism in history. And he had this symbol there with him. According to Dr. Kathy Burns, author of Masonic and Occult Symbols Illustrated, she has a quote from a powerful witch. It being a symbol of the Antichrist. From Masonic and Occult Symbol Illustrated by Dr. Kathy Burns, page 236. Maybe you can see it there, but it's a symbol, Antichrist symbol, that they used for their rituals. It is an ancient and powerful symbol of Antichrist. During the Dark Ages, it was used by Druid witchcraft and by Satanists of all sorts during the initiation of a new member to their order. They would drag the magic circle and give the initiate a cross. The initiate would lift up the cross and turn it upside down. He would then renounce Christianity in all three dimensions of time, past, present, and future, and break the horizontal pieces downward, forming the design of the raven's foot. This ugly symbol is nothing short of a blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. For one to wear or display this symbol is to announce either knowingly or unknowingly that they have rejected Christ. Remember, symbolism is a picture language, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. So there, they not only have, if you've ever seen that staff before, they not only have a tortured Christ there, proudly displaying a tortured Messiah, but also the cross upside down, showing you who they really worship. That was Saint, or not Saint, but John Paul, Pope John Paul II. It says ignorant Christians, and it just, ignorant just means you don't know, you don't have that knowledge, you don't know. So ignorant Christians, Christians who just don't know, don't have any knowledge of this, wear this symbol thinking it is a sign for peace. The origin of the word peace was stamped on this because when a witch casts its spells, they get peace of mind after breaking the cross. And then we see the I mean, you see it in there, but the transgender, there it's a little clear. The transgender wife, and yes, she's really a man, of ex-wife now, ex-thing of Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, it says this transgender creature known as Melinda Gates was seen wearing an upside down cross on today's news, talking about the fake pandemic and what precautious steps we should take to stop this chaos. As globalists like to say, order out of chaos brings the new world order. The rune of death. The runic insignia of the Schnatzstaffel, known in German as the SS Runen, were used from the 1920s to 1945 on Schnatzstaffel flags, uniforms, other items, symbols of various aspects of ideology and Germanic mysticism. They also represented virtues seen as desirable in SS members. Yeah, they were demonic and evil, so that was what they desired in their SS members. And they were based on Volkisch mystic Guido von List's Aramean runes, which he loosely based on the historical runic alphabets. Let's see some of the symbols the Nazis wore there. The symbol on the right is called the Lubis rune. It is a Nazi rune of life. However, the peace symbol on the left is based on the upside down Totes rune, the rune of death. So when you see all these peace movement marches and protests, know what they really are actually carrying is a symbol of death. It is the very opposite of peace. It is a satanic dogma, ideology, as above, so below, to twist perception and misrepresent reality, to protest against the same symbol they are using, representing. In the Third Reich, one could see birth dates of Nazis or at least SS men marked with a Libris rune and death dates marked with a Totus rune, which is equivalent to a cross. And we see there picture of the crow's foot, the broken cross. Not only was it ordered by Hitler's National Socialists that it must appear on German death notices, but it was part of the official inscription prescribed for the gravestones of Nazi officers. Wonder if I can even say that word. Of the dreaded SS. This is just one example. And yes, because Adolf was a deep, deep, deep into occultism. Very dark and wicked man. No wonder he adored these symbols and mandated them. To this very day, the inverted broken cross, identical to the socialist peace symbol, is known in Germany as the Todsrune or the Rune of Death. The Germanic tribes who used it attributed strange and mystical powers and properties to the sign. Such a rune is said to have been used by black magicians in pagan incantations and condemnations. In a picture of them, the Nazis. And maybe no wonder why part of the reason that organization, the group, was so evil and wicked. They were invoking dark magic and foul, evil spirits. Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, used the toad's rune symbol as the backdrop for his altar. The V for Victory sign was introduced in January 1941 as part of a campaign by the Allies of World War II. Britain's legendary Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill was the one who made the V sign famous as it is today. And so the V shape became universally accepted as a sign for victory. See him there, flashing that. Now that's what we all do for victory or flashing peace. But it's pagan. Sir Winston Churchill, a Mason, a Druid witch. Yes, Winston Churchill was not a good man. He actually committed a lot of war crimes along with his allies. So none of these guys in the war were good guys. Sir Winston Churchill, a Mason, a Druid witch, and a wartime Prime Minister of Great Britain, flashes his famous V sign, long used to represent a number of occultic tasks. Churchill's frequent use spurred the use of the device by an uninformed populace as a sign of victory. It says the Hebrew language has no actual numbers, since numbers are represented by letters, and the Hebrew V or Vav represents the number 6. And the number 6 represents unrest or evil. And we know, and if you know your biblical numerology and the meaning of numbers, you know the number 6 does not represent anything good in the Bible. So the Hebrew V or Vav represents the number 6. The number 6 represents unrest or evil. We know that multiplying 666, we get the number of the beast that is written in Revelation. Winston Churchill, devoted to the Kabbalists, introduced the V sign to naive masses as the sign of victory. To the ruling global elite, V also represents the fifth age, or the age of Aquarius. They are confident that bringing the New World Order utopia and maintaining humanity under 500 million would keep the perpetual balance with nature. And signs and symbols have power. And the fact that they could flash them and use them, and basically invoking and calling upon dark power and casting spell, and then without us knowing it and partaking in it, also ups the power of their occult ritual and their spell casting that they are doing with these hand signs, and even more, they get us to participate. The V sign from Webster's dictionary is pictured but never defined or established. Such words as volcanism, vulcanize, and vulgar are defined. However, in close proximity, Vulcan is the ancient... wow. That old Vulcan hand sign, the movies? Vulcan is the ancient god of fire and destruction. So you can't even play around, who hasn't done the Spock thing. But Vulcan is the ancient god of fire and destruction. V is also the Roman numeral for the number 5, and John Adams Weishaupt, founder of the Order of the Illuminati, used this sign in the Illuminati to symbolize the law of fives. It is also worth mentioning that widely used satanic pentagram in Greek also means penta, which is 5. That's satanic 5-point star. The general population have taken over this symbol, not realizing by showing it they are promoting the Kabbalistic aim to subjugate the world. Churchill's sign meant not only that he was under occult's control, but that he was furthering their goal to take over the world. And there's a picture of him. As young Winston Churchill, that's a picture of him in his youth, arrives for his Druid initiation ceremony. Was Churchill taught here in this very place the true occultic meaning of the fiery and destructive V hand sign? that he later made famous and it became used around the world? I think so. And then it just has a bunch of pictures with those evil guys with the V on their uniforms. Their uniforms. And flashing, holding up right there also. So it is very much an occultic sign symbol. Freemasonry ties. Freemasons, their god is Lucifer. They openly proclaim this. In her highly regarded encyclopedia of symbols entitled Masonic and Occult Symbols Illustrated, Dr. Kathy Burns explores the meaning of the V sign. She explains that the two fingers upward relate to the Masonic and Gnostic law of opposites, exactly as the case for the Masonic Lodge's black and white checkerboard floors. This is the doctrine of bringing order out of chaos, of reconciling the two opposites, evil and good. The V sign is also the sign of the horned god of witchcraft called Pan. And Pan is also Peter Pan, too. That's something I found out recently. So the V sign is also the sign of the horned god of witchcraft, often called Pan or Baphomet, the androgynous male or female goat god. And then it just has a bunch more pictures of people flashing this sign in movies and media. So to end, witchcraft's goddess. Witchcraft, traditionally the exercise or invocation of supernatural powers that control people or events, and practices typically involving sorcery or magic. Many occultists, Freemasons, and news anchors are highly trained witches, and now we know um, all entertainment people are involved in media are highly trained witches, casting subconscious spells, symbols, and putting the general television viewer listener under a hypnotic state. So there you go. Peace sign, V sign, occultic, even demonic, even representing Vulcan, the ancient fire god, and is not something that we should continue participating in and flashing and supporting, especially that peace symbol, which is the Nero's cross, inverted cross, the crow's foot, something used in the rituals of witchcraft. So yes, let's continue to come out of her. Us. Let's continue in that path of sanctification. Hallelujah.